Time to gear up without going broke. In podcasting terms, I mean. You're listening to the Victorian Podcasters Podcast, your bite-sized slice of podcasting know-how. We're all about connecting Victorian podcasters, newbies, pros, and the I'm gonna crowd. We'll put your money where your mouth is and join our emailing list and Facebook and LinkedIn groups for exclusive updates, resources, and our community Q&A, because podcasting doesn't have to be a solo gig. The Podcasters is proudly produced on Wadawurrung land. When starting a podcast, it may feel imperative, let alone necessary, that you need to spend a lot of money on equipment in a podcasting, maybe even hiring a podcasting studio. It can get a bit overwhelming and the money can rack up real quick. But what if I can tell you that to start a podcast, all you really need is your mobile phone and maybe even some internet access if you're feeling spicy. And you've got a podcast. Yes, something as simple as your mobile phone and internet. Get started on podcasting. Prove that people want to listen to not just you, but your podcast topic and your thoughts and ideas on the subject by using either a voice memo app or maybe even a simple recording app. Get yourself under a little doona fort where you can put the doona over yourself to muffle any outside sounds for some free soundproofing. And maybe it may not be or look professional as you would like, but it is surprisingly effective. So you could start with that right away. You could literally stop listening to this podcast. Do not stop listening to this podcast. But you could stop right now, do that, and start recording straight away. I do recommend putting your phone on Do Not Disturb just so you don't get any notifications as you record using your phone. That's why podcasting is so accessible. You do not need the flashy lights. You do not need to even record a video podcast to start off with. Do something simple, get it ready, get it good, and then you can start expanding when you've reached milestones. Make sure to check out that episode about milestones if you haven't already. Let's break this down into 3 levels. So we got level 1, which is the starter setup. We got level 2, which is stepping up, and level 3 is the series pros. Now, of course, you can be at any of these levels, but I want to tell you now, that is why podcasting is a nice thing to do, because it is so accessible. Vic Podcasters was brought to you by the Video Confidence Coach. That's me, emboldening women and non-binary superstars with killer video marketing strategies, empowering them to show up, stand out, and smash their goals. For those who are starting off, who want to go beyond just your mobile phone, because maybe, like me, you hate editing on your mobile phone, you can use something as simple as your phone and a plug-in $20 laptop mic. It is great for solo episodes or just testing ideas to see if this podcast is something that you want to devote your free time and your hobby time doing. And you can use something as simple as a USB plug-in mic that is around $20 to $30 that you can access either online or a close-by audio shop. I always recommend shop local. Once you've got the microphone, you can download some free audio editing tools like GarageBand if you're on a Mac, Audacity if you're on anything else, and if you're feeling fancy and don't mind the learning curve, Descript. And since we're just starting up and we want to keep budget friendly, we can use free hosting platforms, the platforms that distribute our podcast, for example, using Spotify for podcasters, Acast at the basic version, and other platforms like that. Level 2 is stepping it up. So we've gone beyond our basic plug-in mic, like a Samsung QTU or a Blue Yeti. Then from there, you can start leveling up by either, and not necessarily you don't have to do all of these things at once, by the way. You can start leveling up to a more expensive or a more comprehensive mic once you know the type of podcast that you're doing. You can plug and play with no fancy gear, or you can continue to go along with the method that has worked for you in the past, but just upgrading other aspects of your setup. For example, having a decent pair of headphones to help you with noise isolation and help you catch any sneaky background sounds because you can hear them in your ears. You can also take this opportunity to beef up your space with some carpets, some curtains, some cushions, anything that helps absorb the sound, and maybe graduate from a closet. And then we have level 3, which is serious pod pros. This may not apply to you, but it's something to look forward to if, say, for example, the podcast grows to a level that you can work with this and this makes sense for you. You would invest in an XLR mic with an audio interface. Essentially, you're looking for a fancy microphone that's obviously going to be expensive, but it has a nice chunky end that plugs into essentially what is a brick with a bunch of buttons that you can help dial in your audio so it sounds perfect when you record it, so you don't have to futz around with it in the editing bay. You can also take this time to sound treat your room or your studio to make it worth it if you have a regular show. And then from there, once you've done the microphone and you've done the studio, and again, we haven't even talked about video editing. We're not talking about that today. We are focusing on these 3 basic steps for you. From there, you can move on to paid editing tools like Audio Audition, Logic Pro, Hindenburg, maybe, and a lot of video editing platforms also have audio editing platforms like DaVinci Resolve, or looking at DAW tools that you can use that, again, have a bit of a learning curve to them. But if you are investing that much to the point where if you are getting to the point where you're investing in your microphone and setup, you are going to invest in your editing process too. All in all, I can say is my tip is to upgrade yourself gradually. Not everything has to be bought at once. You can test what you like, maybe make some podcasting friends and Vic podcasters and trial out a few things. Maybe even hire a podcasting studio. Borrow some gear locally if you can, just to see how you like things and see if they work in your process. And you can also evolve things later. You don't need to have everything at once to get started podcasting. And that's the thing. As I said, you can use your mobile phone, get under a doona, and start recording. All that matters is being consistent with your schedule. The reason I love podcasting is because it is accessible. It's why it's easy to start, but it's hard to keep consistent with. But for you and your podcast and any podcast that you start or finish in your journey, being consistent is the real game. Focus on showing up, being there for your audience, rather than having the perfect setup. What I would love you to do from here is to record a test episode with whatever you've got on hand. Doesn't have to be fancy. There's a good chance you're listening to this on a mobile phone. It does not matter. Record what you can, even doing a 5-minute test episode, just to get your bearings. Get going, get started, do it. And as you are doing it, join the Vic Podcasters group and share your thoughts on gear or ask any questions that you have. My ask to you is, if you want, post it in the group and ask what is the one upgrade that would help you. And you can answer that in the group as well. Your next episode listen of the Vic Podcasters can be episode 3, How Do I Start a Podcast? Or episode 6, What Equipment Do I Need to Record a Podcast? Keeping in mind that we have been talking about how to start a podcast and what equipment do you need. But we go into a lot more detail on episode 6 about that. That's it for this week's episode. Tune in next week for more tips, updates, and the occasional pun. Good ideas buzzing? Excellent. Head to the show notes in this episode for details that you'll need to dive deeper into Victoria's podcasting community. Vic Podcasters would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional custodians on the land on which we work, live and play. We pay our respects to our elders past and present. We stand with the traditional custodians in these lands in working towards a more equal future. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. And hey, don't forget, podcasting is better with mates.